Well, good morning, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to have not only our governor here with us today, but also our Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, Banji, and our Deputy Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, Tony Guerrera, and of course the great staff here at the DMV and the managers and the workers. Today's an exciting day because it's the first day by appointment that our customers are able to go inside, and as you saw inside, everything is social distance properly, plastic shields, and for me as the mayor, it's a relief. As we all know how challenging COVID has been for everyone, but particularly in the area of DMV. I commend the Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner for getting this facility open today, and I'm really proud of the fact that the governor's here to join us once again in the city of Waterbury and support the city in a way that's unimaginable since he's been in office. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to the Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
My honor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Before I say anything, I really want to thank Team DMV. This journey has not been easy. I also want to thank the governor, who's been so supportive of us as we were working to radically change how we deliver services at the DMV. I also want to thank the Department of Transportation, who worked with us to actually change how all of the residents come into the DMV. As you can tell, we're now going one way by appointment. The people that have appointments are waiting in their cars and we're calling them in. So teamwork got us here. And today we are opening 4 DMVs that are going to actually have, so I think what's critical is that we're going to focus on those DMVs that are now delivering and open to walk-in traffic. So today we're here. We also have Bridgeport, we have Enfield, we're here in Waterbury, as well as Hamden. So those 4 DMVs are now open to traffic. Wethersfield is open to learners testing. We are also in partnership with driving schools that are going to be starting to do road tests. So the DMV is open. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to actually start to be able to handle more and more walk-in traffic in various DMVs, but we needed to start slow because we understand how this pandemic is. So we've learned a lot in the last 3 months, and we are extremely excited to be in this point. I'll let the deputy say a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here in Waterbury, and thank you, Mayor, for a great job in presenting us the security and so forth here. But, you know, this has not been an easy road, as we all know. There is no rule book with COVID-19, as we all know. But one thing that the governor and the administration has always said to all of us as agency heads is that safety for our customers and safety for our employees are number one. So throughout this whole process, we went to the playbook. We looked at different ways of doing this to make sure that plexiglass were installed in all branches. Let me say that again. Plexiglass is in all the branches of DMV. Social distancing is in all the branches. And this new appointment system, where it allows individuals now to go online, all right, make an appointment, follow the traffic pattern, stay in your vehicle. You get an email or a text telling you 5 minutes before your appointment, you come in, and you get your transactions done. This is a new way of doing business with the DMV. And we're so happy that Team DMV, the administration, and everyone out there for all their hard work and all their help. Thank you.
And so before I turn it over to the governor, I want to really focus on thanking Waterbury. Without you guys working with us, we had to call your police department to help us make sure, because we didn't want to frustrate people with the traffic flow. So we, again, are very excited to be here, and without further ado, the Governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Hey, Governor.
Hey, Governor.
Thanks, Bongi. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Who would have thought everybody was missing DMV so much? You know, a year and a half ago, there were a lot of complaints. And as Tony said, one of the many things that COVID we've learned from is how we had to upgrade what we do. And here we are opening the DMV in Waterbury, opening around the rest of the state, and doing it with a new normal. People now get electronic appointments. They stay in their car. They get a text. They go in and things are pretty much on time. You remember from last year, we had tried to accelerate things. We made it less frequent that you had to get your license renewed, less frequent that you had to get renewals. And I thought that was important just as a way to mitigate what we had to do here, mitigate the load here on DMV. But this is another sign that our state is getting back to business in a very cautious and thoughtful way to keep people safe. And I had a kick just talking to folks in there. You know, Mayor, how long you been waiting? What do you think? And things were working pretty well on time, Bongi. It was impressive. It's remember about a year and a half ago, we said no more inline, online, and that's part of what we've been trying to do. And that's what we had to do across the state in terms of accelerating our processes. You know, we were a little late in terms of getting all the technology we needed in the Department of Labor. You know, they had taken down their call service center. They had the old technology platform there, Cobalt. Now we know what we meant when we said we had to upgrade our technology system, the impact that had at Department of Labor, how we've already been able to do this here at DMV. And to me, I've always said, Bongi, the DMV is really important because that's one of the places that people directly interact with their government on a regular basis. And I want them to see that we're trying every day to make this a good customer experience for you like we're used to in the private sector, getting it done on time, friction-free. And COVID's reminded us more than ever how we got to do it safely as well. And that's why we're here. Proud to salute the opening of another DMV office here in the state of Connecticut. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Governor.
Any questions for Mayor O'Leary?
Good, guy.
One question, Commissioner. Even before the pandemic, can you give a rough estimate of what's the percentage of business you guys already were doing online? You might
When it comes to the renewal side of the house, maybe 60 or 70. When it comes to new credentials, it's low because we need primary documents to transact that business. So in order to, So what I said was, in terms of the renewal business, maybe 60 to 70% of renewals. We can do more, and part of our strategy is to increase that number. In terms of new credentials, you are required to come to the DMV in person. And so what we're introducing within the next 2 weeks is the ability for a citizen to take a picture of their credential, send it to us so that they can pre-check and make sure that they have all the documents that they need so that we can reduce what used to be a 20% failure rate when you came to the DMV. So we're going to be introducing technology to help address some of the gaps that we used to have. And so we call it a portal where they're going to, like I said, take a picture, send it to us. It's going to get routed to one of our employees. Some are going to be working in the office, some are going to be working at home. They'll be able to pre-check. They'll send the employee and say, you know what, all of your information is good. We can send them a temporary credential and say, come on in, and then you'll get your final. So as you can see, we're really using technology to transform how we are supporting the citizens of Connecticut for some very complex transactions that require many, many primary documents to complete.
What's the timetable for opening up the other branches, getting all the branches back open and getting the AAA?
So right now, AAA and Nutmeg are open. They reopened maybe 4 weeks ago, and they also have appointment. Today, we're opening 4 additional branches, Bridgeport, Enfield, Waterbury, and Hamden. They're opening for new licenses. So really the significance of today is the fact that we're opening for traffic. We've been doing transactions, renewals online, but today is the first day where we can now support those credentials that require primary documents. Yes, we were expecting, as people realize that we're opening, that's why we opened 4 different branches. That's why we have the appointment system. That's why we restriped the traffic to avoid those lines and people just congregating in one place. And so I don't know if you know, but over there, that's where all the cars are. where people, as it gets 5 minutes before their appointment, they're coming in. But yes, there's definitely pent-up demand. But we did extend the credentials to give them an opportunity because we knew that it was going to take us a while to get back online.
Just real quick to Paul, your question too. Every DMV branch right now is open except for one, and that's Norwich, which is doing a processing center. But not every DMV branch is doing the exact same transactions. There are different transactions that are being done. And like the commissioner said, over the next few weeks and months, all of them should start doing the abundance of every transaction.
When do you think you're going to get to that point?
We are evaluating as we go to make sure everything's working well, and then we start to fold in different transactions at different branches. And as those go well, we start folding in other ones.
What can be done by appointment now? Can registration be done by appointment? Can licensing be done by appointment? What is currently going to be happening?
The licensing is being done by appointment for registration, new registration. For registration renewal, you can do by mail. We've had drop boxes, and you can also do online. Quite a high percentage of our registration renewals are currently done online.
Could you repeat that truck went by earlier?
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, your initial answer to that question, you didn't hear a truck went by. What? Sorry.
So she asked what we can make appointments, and we said new credentials. That's what's new today.
Okay.
Renewals, we've been doing those online. And I think you had another question?
And when will all the DMV employees be brought back to work? Or is that not in the future?
We ultimately have to do that, but as you can tell, the space is pretty tight in there. So as it relates to employees, we are looking, so employees have been rotating and on flex schedules coming in. We have not brought them in all at once to one place. So before today, we were open online, and we also had employees coming in to do the transactions that were coming through mail, email, drop boxes. So they've been coming in. It's just not the full complement. We're trying to figure out with the spacing, the social distancing, and everything else. That's so we are trying to have a part-time folks coming in until we can work that out.
Okay, so what is the ratio right now? Like how many employees are coming to the office, and then how many employees are not?
So right now, in branch, we have 282. We have 130 to 160 rotating coming in. The other 192 have not been coming in, and so we've had to, but they began working this week because we also have the ability now to do some of the transaction pre-check via the system that we're introducing. So we've been working to ramp up the capacity. You're absolutely correct with your questions. The more employees and capacity we can get, the more we're going to address the backlog and handle more traffic. And so that's the next phase of the work that we need to do. We needed to first set up the structure, see how it works, figure out the square footage of our buildings and the distance and the heights, and we're getting very close to being able to make that next decision.
And Christine, to your point, you're going to see that obviously with more technology, the less that people want to have to come in. And so that's what we're thriving for, right? Is to get to that technology point. So therefore, we don't want you to come in if you don't have to come in. And that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, so we're relying on work at home for those transactions and the pre-check, as well as the technology, moving more services online.
So if you have a teenager who needs a written test, needs a road test, what are their options right now? Are there any options to do that completely online?
Not online yet, but they've been, so Wethersfield was open for knowledge tests, and we're opening two others. I can look it up and see.
I think just, so let me clarify that, all right, a little bit, is that Cheshire and Wethersfield right now are open for knowledge tests. In regards to road tests, folks, all right, what we've done is we have talked to many of the driving schools, and what we thought about was that how can we get as much bang for our buck by getting these tests out there. So we're going to have our inspectors go into these driving schools using one vehicle, sitting in that vehicle, having their mask, having that car sanitized, and we could do triple the amount of tests by having that one agent in that one car by just shifting out those kids in and out rather than having them come to the branch.
Did that start today?
That starts today, yeah. That started this week.
So up till now,
No, they have not been able to take the road test, but they have been able to take the knowledge test.
Yeah.
When do you think the road test will be in?
It started this
Today.
week. We've already booked, just so you know, almost 1,000 appointments in a week.
So do families make that appointment through DMV? Or
Yes,
do they go
through a QSC appointment, yes.
And then you guys figure out the
Yeah,
private
Yes.
yep.
school to work with?
Yep.
Is this one of the agencies that you're requiring employees to be tested before they come back
Tested, I'm sorry, for
for COVID?
Well, what we do is we have the questionnaire, right? We ask the employees to have that questionnaire. We take their temperature check before they come in. And just like anything else, like anybody from the public too, we don't know if you've been tested or not, but we ask all the COVID-19 questions that the DPH has informed us how we should do it.
Just to go back to the road test quickly, we got emails from viewers saying that maybe their child already had an appointment in the coming week prior. Do they need to go back and reschedule that now?
No, Commissioner, go ahead.
So, and this really caused a lot of challenges because, as you know, they book ahead. So we were attempting to be, customer centric. So we were canceling 2 weeks forward. So anyone with an appointment after July 4th, those appointments should be good. So that's what. So we've kept some of those appointments, and then starting last Friday, we started calling the people that their appointments canceled so that we could reschedule. So we're trying to handle those, keep what we have, but make sure that the ones that had and were canceled, we're calling them and setting up an appointment via the phone.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Can you ask about electric boat and the $10 million contract?
I'm sorry?
Governor.
Oh, sorry. I'm not the governor, he's the governor.
You can answer it, though. Hey, Sue, you asked about a backlog. You heard 1,000 high school seniors are looking forward to getting their driver's license. That tells you there was some pent-up demand. Yeah, that's a big deal on electric boat and getting the next class of submarine going. We knew this was coming, but you're never sure when it comes out of Washington, D.C., right? There can be some stops and starts, and now there's a commitment made. Hiring is taking place, retooling and training, and it's a long-term contract. So it's a big deal for Southeast Connecticut, big deal for Connecticut, and not bad for the defense of our country.
Governor, can you talk about somewhat of a roller coaster? 2 months ago, Florida was concerned about New York, Connecticut coming down there. Now we're kind of coming down around. So much of an effort is that get most of Connecticut shut down, closed, reopening. And are you concerned that once we do, we're going to be in the same boat?
I am concerned that there are an awful lot of flights into Bradley every day from Florida, and that Florida has an infection rate right now, a positivity rate that's about 10 times what we are here in Connecticut. And that's true of a number of other states like Texas and Arizona as well. So that's why we have been talking to our fellow governors about perhaps some sort of a quarantine or a testing protocol before people from a highly infected area come to a less infected area like Connecticut.
What is your concern about reopening? Part of the reason why maybe our infection rate is low is because we just severe measures pretty long.
I think that's true. We closed down earlier than certainly some of those other states, and we opened up a little later than some of those other states. We were able to learn a bit from their example. Right now, the question is, what is causing the higher infection rate in those areas? We've been sort of interested, as we talked about yesterday, that the infection rate amongst younger people has gone way up, 18 to 35. Less complications, less fatalities, but just as infectious. So we're watching that like a hawk. I'm not sure whether it's related to outdoor dining or protests, or maybe just they're a little less likely to be wearing the mask than we are here in Connecticut.
Governor, as the cases continue to go down, is it realistic or possible this summer to see a point where there isn't really transmission of COVID in Connecticut, or is the world too interconnected, is our state too interconnected for that to happen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, you've seen zero infections in places like New Zealand, but it's a little easier to quarantine New Zealand than it is the state of Connecticut, where we had, New York City and Boston, both of which were hot spots just a couple of months ago. No, we're part of a region, and that's why we work together as a region, and that allows us to tamp down some of the infection. But obviously, we're also part of a bigger country and a lot of back and forth, and that's why we're thinking about some of the quarantine measures.
And then when you talk about
No, but our hotels are open. I think we'll probably be talking to the hotels, and depending on where people come in from, make sure that they know what our protocol's there. Maybe people don't want to quarantine. They'd be more likely to get the test before coming, say 72 hours before you come to Connecticut. That's the way Maine and some other places are doing now. So you show that certificate at the hotel when you get there. It says, okay, you can come and stay here and you don't have to quarantine.
So would you ask people, hey, what hotel are you staying at? Who are you staying with? Is there contact information we can keep up with you?
Let me roll that out to you in a few days. We're talking to all the other governors. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Are people going to get arrested for not quarantining? I think that's the basic question. Are you going to send the police out to arrest people, to ticket people, or not following the quarantine if they come in the state?
No.
When are we going to have information about fall and schools reopening in fall? If they're going to be reopening?
Yeah, so Miguel Cardona, the commissioner, has got a plan. He's circulating that as we speak right now to superintendents, all of whom had input, parents, teachers, and we're going to lay out at least a first draft of what we plan to do on Thursday.
You've taken a real law of morality approach without enforcing actions. Really do things voluntarily and not really following up on it that way. Why do you think that works here? Why did you take that approach? And if there are more incidents like there were in New Haven, would you change that?
Well, first of all, I think it's worked because most people know somebody who died of COVID, and they know it's serious, and maybe they didn't know that as close to the heart in other parts of the country, and maybe they weren't quite as serious about the mask as we've been here in Connecticut. If there are more incidents like big bars and outdoor gatherings and drinking, we'll be firm on that because Phoenix, they just had a super spreader at a bar nightclub, and well over 100 people were infected coming out of that. I don't want that happening here.
Governor, you talked about this is something that indicates another step towards return towards normalcy, but you're also cautioning people quite strongly about how to act in social distancing. So how would you describe your overall message as Connecticut does approach what you call the new normal?
So Paz is asking, we're reopening, and yet I'm cautioning people, what's that balance? I think DMV's got the right balance. We had to get back. We had a lot of demand. People had to renew their license or wanted to renew their license or get a new license if you're a young person. And yet we've got a schedule. We've got a queue. People don't gang up inside the DMVs. Remember this a couple of years ago, don't you? And I think we're showing that we can do this, but we do it cautiously with public health as a priority. Thanks, everybody. Nice to see you.
Thank you, everyone.